A horde of zombies staggering towards you, but instead of the usual guttural groans, they're engaging in full-blown conversations about their favorite brain flavors. It's a scenario straight out of a horror comedy mashup, but hey, in the realm of what if, anything is possible. So let's dive headfirst into the murky waters of undead dialogue. Imagine a zombie apocalypse where the undead aren't just mindless flesh eaters, but sophisticated conversationalists. Think zombies debating the best strategy for ambushing humans or discussing the merits of different types of decay. Perhaps they're even sharing tips on the most efficient ways to remove pesky bits of entrails from between their teeth. The possibilities are as endless as the hunger of the undead. Hey, but wait until the end, I have a question for you. Now, let's get down to brass tacks. How exactly would zombies communicate if they could speak? Would their vocal cords produce spine-chilling moans, or would they eloquently articulate their desires and grievances? So this is the million-dollar question. How on earth would zombies communicate if they suddenly gained the gift of gab? Let's take a stroll through the quirky corridors of zombie biology and science fiction speculation to unravel this undead enigma. Picture this. Within the decaying confines of a zombie's throat, vocal cords once used for mundane human chatter now undergo a grotesque transformation. Instead of producing mellifluous tones, they emit eerie groans and raspy moans, courtesy of the decomposition process, wreaking havoc on their vocal apparatus. It's like a twisted remix of human speech, with a hint of decay and a dash of desperation. But hold on to your lab coats, because the questions don't stop there. Scientists could speculate that despite its decay, the zombie brain might still retain some semblance of cognitive function. This means that while zombies may not be discussing Shakespearean sonnets anytime soon, they could still muster enough mental capacity to string together basic phrases, or even communicate their primal urges. Within the murky depths of a zombie's decomposing brain, neurons continue to fire off signals. These neurons, battered and bruised by the ravages of decay, struggle to maintain even a semblance of their former function. Yet, against all odds, some primitive circuits manage to flicker to life, sparking sporadic bursts of cognitive activity. It's like a malfunctioning computer trying to boot up an outdated operating system, with glitches aplenty and no guarantee of coherence. Now, let's add a dash of scientific speculation to the mix. Researchers hypothesize that certain regions of the zombie brain responsible for basic survival instincts might remain relatively intact, albeit in a degraded state. This means that while zombies may not be solving complex equations or composing symphonies, they could still retain a rudimentary understanding of hunger, fear, and perhaps even social hierarchy. It's a chilling thought. Imagine a zombie hesitating before attacking, its decaying synapses wrestling with conflicting impulses as vestiges of its former humanity flicker in and out of focus. But don't let the science bog you down. After all, we're talking about zombies here. So, let your imagination run wild as you envision the bizarre spectacle of undead creatures stumbling through the post-apocalyptic landscape, their decaying brains struggling to make sense of their grotesque existence. From half-formed thoughts to primal urges, the cognitive function of zombies is a tantalizing enigma that adds an extra layer of intrigue to the ever-evolving mythology of the undead. But do zombies gain superhuman intelligence along with the ability to speak? Within the decaying confines of a zombie's skull, neural pathways once reserved for mundane human thought now undergo a macabre transformation. While some scientists argue that speaking zombies could potentially exhibit higher levels of organization and intelligence, others remain skeptical, citing the pervasive decay that ravages their brains. But let's entertain the possibility for a moment. Could speaking zombies harness their newfound linguistic abilities to organize themselves into terrifyingly efficient hordes? It's a tantalizing thought, reminiscent of hive minds or collective consciousness. After all, language is a powerful tool for communication and coordination, enabling complex social structures and strategic planning. However, the reality might be far more nuanced. While speaking zombies could theoretically exchange information and collaborate on basic tasks, their cognitive limitations and primal instincts may still hinder their ability to form truly sophisticated societies. Within the tangled mess of decaying neural tissue, some zombies exhibit faint flickers of cognitive function, while others remain mired in the depths of primal instinct. It's a biological lottery, with some undead horrors stumbling aimlessly, driven solely by the insatiable hunger for human flesh, while others display eerie glimpses of higher brain function. Now, let's talk about coordination. While it's tempting to imagine a legend of speaking zombies orchestrating meticulously planned attacks on unsuspecting survivors, the reality might be more chaotic. Picture a horde of undead creatures stumbling through the streets, their communication a cacophony of guttural groans and raspy moans. In this scenario, any semblance of organization is more likely to be the result of instinctual herd behavior rather than conscious strategy. After all, zombies are fundamentally creatures of impulse, driven by the primal urge to feed.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
But what would happen when survivors listen for the first time to these creatures? Surely there will be people who would manifest in favor of zombie rights. But jokes aside, those brave souls navigating the treacherous landscape of a world overrun by the undead. Picture a group of survivors stumbling upon a horde of zombies, only to be greeted not by the usual guttural groans, but by eerie echoes of speech. It's a spine-tingling moment that raises more questions than answers. How do you react when faced with creatures that were once human, now capable of speech and possibly even coordination? For some survivors, the sight of speaking zombies may evoke a mixture of fear, confusion and disbelief. After all, everything they thought they knew about the undead is turned on its head in an instant. Suddenly, the line between friend and foe becomes blurred as they grapple with the unsettling realization that the creatures they're facing aren't mindless monsters, but something far more complex. It's a psychological minefield where every encounter with the undead becomes a battle not just for survival, but for sanity. But knowing all this, would you prefer zombies that talked and could coordinate, or zombie runners like those in World War Z? Thanks for watching. I will read you in the comments.